Hi guys, and welcome to Rossi Audio again. Today I'm going to do a little product review, product presentation of an amp that I have absolutely fallen in love with. Audiosource is for many, for many a well-known brand, and for some of you a not so well-known brand. Audiosource was an independent brand for many years. At one point they were bought up by Phoenix Gold. Phoenix Gold owned Audiosource and Carver Pro. And this was a result of one of the products. They made several amps, and all their amps are really good. I will zoom in a little bit, we'll go a little bit closer here. It was really cool when you put this one in and you plug it up. I'll try and explain here. On each side here, you see some white LED stripes. They light up in red, and you have a red light right here. You have selectable A and B speakers, balance control, and volume control. And for a power amp, I think that's pretty clever that they put a balance and a volume knob on it. Most power amps do not have a volume knob to control the volume, which means you are very in need of a preamp or some sort of a receiver that has a main out that you can run this one through or something like that. But since it has its own volume knob, you can hook this one straight up to a CD player or any other source except for the turntables. Specifications is, I made a little specification sheet back here. I don't know if you can see it, but I will try and get closer so you can see it. As you can see, this one delivers 50 watts per channel in 8 ohm with a very acceptable THD distortion. That is measured all over the thing from 20 to 20,000 hertz. It delivers 75 watts per channel in 4 ohm, 150 watts RMS bridged in 8 ohm, 20 to 20,000, with a 0.2 THD. Frequency response is set to 10 to 50,000 hertz, and signal to noise is 100 dB A weighted. So that's pretty good. Its channel separation is 65 dB, that's also good. And it has a power consumption of 500 watts. And what I like about this is an amp that do not over-promising. And a lot of amps that I have seen, both receivers and power amps and integrated amps and all that stuff, they brag about it being like 500 watts a channel, or 2 times 500, or 2 times 1,000, depending on the ohm that you're running it in. And then you look on the back of them and you look at the power consumption, and the power consumption is lower or less than what the total wattage is, what they're promising it will deliver. And you know, everyone knows that you can't really deliver more wattage out than what you take out from the socket in the wall. So if an amp only draw 1,000 watts, it can't deliver 1,000 watts out, because none of the amps that are on the market are 100% efficient, have 100% efficiency. That even goes for the digitals in Class Ds and Class H, where Class H today is the most efficient amps on the market, with somewhere between 87 and 90% efficiency. So when amps and manufacturers of amps and integrated amplifiers and power amps and receivers boost their numbers up and brag about it, and you see that they have more power out than what they draw from the power grid, then you have a problem, because no amps on the market today is a producing power amp. They're just an amplifier of what comes in goes out, and in that chain you have a little bit of loss due to heat, due to other things. So No amplifiers are built as a power plant. If that was so, you could run your household on. You can buy one amplifier and plug it in one little thing, and you could amplify whatever you want and give power and energy to whatever you want. So it's just stupid numbers. What I like about this amp, it says 500 watt max in draw, in current consumption. And if you think about it, this one draw from the grid 500 watt max if pushed. I will say that is probably when you're operating 4 ohm and max performance and you push it really hard. But again, they say that it delivers 50 watts out per channel, and that's a total of 100 watts. So you see, if this amp, I think I read somewhere that this amp is about 84% efficient. And that's pretty good for an AB type of amp, class A, B. It's not a class D, it's not a class H, it's not a pure class A. So when it delivers 50 watts per channel, 100 watts total, and if you see that's 400 watts less than what it draws from the grid, it means that this amp and this manufacturer is not bragging, they're not lying. They're pretty good, spot on where they should be. And it says that it delivers 150 watt max RMS bridged in mono 8 ohm. And that is like 350 watts less than what the amp is rated at as power consumption. So these guys are pretty spot on and honest about things. I've seen it so many times that these amplifier manufacturers, they are just lying through their teeth. So what can I say about this amp? Well, I have used this amp now for a year and a half on several types of speakers. I have used them on these Advents up here. I have used them on the Altex in the back. I've used them on the Cerwin Vega on the top. I've used them on the JBL and on the top back there. I have also, behind this speaker, I have a Cerwin Vega AT15 or AT100. I have DX9. And just for fun, I hooked this amp up, and everyone knows that on the bigger Cerwin Vegas you need more power. But this 50 watt per channel amplifier did a pretty darn good job on the AT15 and the DX9. I mean, I have had amps that have pushed those Cerwin Vegas way more and with more louder, more SPL and more bang. But it did good. This amp is a solid performer, regardless of what kind of speakers you put on it. And if you ask me if I was gonna recommend this amp, I would definitely say hell yes. This amp is capable of doing some good work on many types of speakers. Let's go back to the Advents. These speakers are perfect for this amp. The Altex is also perfect for this amp. The Cerwin Vegas on the top here are 2-ways with a tweeter and a 10-inch. Perfect for that amp. The JBLs, 2-way with an 8-inch woofer and tweeter. Perfect for that amp. So what I have found out with this amp is it's very good on, you know, I have even tested it on those small ones there. Those that is laying vertically is horizontally. Is Toshiba studio monitors. They're really good, and that amp really rocks on those speakers. The smaller Cerwin Vegas on top, you know, they are typical bookshelf speakers, and the sound that comes from those speakers are limited regardless. But this amp here makes those small speakers sound really good. So, if you have small bookshelf speakers or mid-sized bookshelf speakers, or a larger bookshelf speakers like the Altex are calling these are the 886A, and they were considered to be a bookshelf speaker, but they're big enough to be put on stands, you know, and the same with the Cerwin Vegas and the JBLs and the Advents. So if you have speakers on that size, or this size, or even this size, this amp will do the job more than enough, and you will be happy and satisfied. You will have no problem. You will not be longing for more. You will not feel that you're missing something. And this amp is really, really good, balanced sound. It has sound quality that is, I want to say, above the average in this class. And when I say in this class, this is by no means not a cheap amplifier. I don't remember exactly what the new price was on it when it retailed, when it was in the market, because this is a discontinued product, because Audiosource is no longer with Phoenix Gold. It was sold out of Phoenix Gold when Phoenix Gold sold went almost bankrupt and had to sell. They got rid of Audiosource and they got rid of Carver Pro, and the new owner only focused on Phoenix Gold. So Audiosource is today their own company again, but this is a discontinued model. But this amp, when it was on the market, I think this was like a $300 or $400 amp. So it's by no means not a cheap amp, and it's not an ultra expensive amp either. So it's right there in the middle. It's a middle ground amplifier price-wise. I think it was maybe between let's say between $300 and $500 somewhere. Then we are, I think we have covered the retail price on it back then. And for that price, when you if you bought it new, you didn't do a bad buy. It was a good buy, and a lot of people bought them. There are quite a few of these out there. Used today, they tend to sell for between $150 and $225. And that's a very, very good buy. You get a good amplifier for that price. I mean, look at these specifications and tell me if $150 used, and you get them used in good condition, because these have never been, what can I say, abused or in any way run hard, because these amplifiers were built for a different use. So looking at these numbers, and knowing that it was Phoenix Gold / Carver Pro that owned them, and for many years was running their R&D and development and product development, this is a good amp. And if you can buy it for $150, $200, maybe $250 at the most, in mint condition or very little used, you get an amp that will rock you or move you or make you feel like the music is coming alive, and you can enjoy it in many ways that you can't do with another amp. I know this sounds like a lot of bragging, but and I don't do it because I own one, but there's many out there. And if you had the chance to go and get this amp, and let's say you can get it for $150, $175, maybe $200, I say do it. Get it, because you will not regret it. If you have a speaker in this size, that size, or this size. If you have a small to medium speakers, this amp is a good alternative. And what it has also, you see it has the A and the B speaker selector, and it has the balance and the volume knob. But let me show you another thing. Let me just turn this one around. And to me, this is one of the more important things. There we go. The speaker terminals are really good. They take banana plugs, and they have these screw tightening things. So they take bare cable, or they take other things that you can put on there. And you could turn the light bar, like I told you on the front, the red one. You can turn that one on and off if you don't want it. Has stereo and bridge mode selector. And this trigger thing is something that Phoenix Gold and Carver did a lot. I have never used it, so that's not a big thing. Then you come to the point here that I like a lot. You have one line in, or two line 2 in, so you have two separate lines in, okay, but you also have a line out, And the thing here is, you can hook you can run the signal from this to another amplifier if you have more speakers. And so this is, you can use this as almost like a control amp as well. And the only thing here is there is an internal circuit board here, and you can use hook up another amp for another room. You can use this for zoning. The only thing is, if you use the line out 2, this one becomes sequential. So you have to use line 2 in. If you want to use it for straight run another power amp, you use the line 2 in as your main in, where you put your CD player. And then you use this one for another amp, or you can link it to another power amp or more amplifiers to run other speakers. This one becomes sequential, and I never figured out what that is, but I know it messes with the sound on amp 2 on that one. So you want to use line 2 in when you use this one. But that feature, where do you find that on an amp in this size and this category and this class? You don't see this too much. And combine that with what you saw on the front, where you have, let me see, sorry for that, where you in fact have balance and volume knobs. So you can run this one as a control amp with another power amp hooked up to it. And if you run, let's say, 2 big speakers, or like these, and you have, let's say you have a passive subwoofer, because not everyone that I know of runs an active or powered subwoofer, then you can hook another amp to this one, and you can run the passive subwoofer from another power amplifier. Oh, I'm sorry, I have a little sore throat here. I'm struggling a little bit with a cold, but I'm going to try and get through it for another minute. So, if I'm going to rate this one, this amp, and let's say we're going to give it a rating from where 1 to 10, where 10 is the best, where do I rate this amp? Well, for sound, I rate it about 7.5, 8. Of course, it can become better. You can get better amps, but for the price, you know, it's great sound. Price compared to what you get, I mean, bang for the buck, I want to say 8, 8.5. Configuration and equipment wise and how it's built, I want to say this one is an easy 9, 9.5, maybe even a 10, just because of the features that it has. So overall, I would rate this amp at an 8, 8.5 overall. And that is, in my book, a good investment. So if you're looking for a good 50 watt amplifier per channel, look at the Audiosource AMP102 or AMP102 stereo power amplifier, which is made by Phoenix Gold. It's really good amp. So if you're looking for an amp, here you got one.